Welcome to Let's Make a Game, Episode 1, Pong. I'm Nick Stalker, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple game using Construct 2. It's a free game making program, extremely easy to use. If you go to google.com and type in Construct 2, it'll be the first link right off the top. Click there. You can go to the Construct 2 website, you can download it. Like I said, it's a free application. It works amazing. I would highly recommend it. So let's get down to the basics here and make a game. So the easiest game I can think to make is probably something like Pong. So when you start up Construct 2, you're going to get something like this. And we're just going to go to New Project. And we have a whole bunch of templates for whatever type of game we want to try to make. We're just going to go with a new empty project. Hit OK. And as soon as it opens up here, we have these tabs at the top. We have a Start Page, Layout 1, Event Sheet 1. And over here we have Properties. This would be the name of our game, so we'll put Pong in there. The version number, it could be anything. Description, you can give a sentence or two describing the project. Doesn't really matter what it is for right now. ID, again, doesn't matter. Author, it could be your name, organization name, whoever. You can put your email address or your website's email. You can even put a link to your website. All this really doesn't matter, just for this kind of very simple basic game. So let's just get into the basics of this. Over here we have the Layers tab and Projects tab. And here you can see we have a folder called Pong. And within that folder we have a Layouts folder, which has one layout. And then we have an Event Sheets folder, which has one event sheet in it, which is this tab here and this tab here. So if we're going to be making Pong, we can go over to our Layers tab, make sure Layer 0 is selected. And here we can name the layer, and we can change the background color and the initial visibility, the transparency, the opacity, all that other stuff. And the first thing we want to do is add in a background. And Pong is just a black background, so I could literally just change this background color to black. But what I'm going to do is going to right click in the layout, going to hit Insert New Object, choose Tiled Background from the General tab, look kind of like a checkerboard. Insert, but nothing happened. My cursor changed to this little plus sign, and if I click anywhere in the layout, I'll get sent straight to the image editor. And in here we can draw different shapes, fill in the backgrounds, paint stuff, if I had a different color, paint stuff, draw lines. It's basically just a really very simple image editor. Sorry. So I'm going to select all that. This is the Marquee Tool up here. It allows us to select portions of images to delete and or move around. But to create a background that's going to be black, we're just going to pick the fill bucket, go straight to black on this color slider here, and click anywhere inside there. And now we have our background here. And we can zoom out by holding Control and using the mouse wheel. That'll zoom us out and in. We can click with the mouse wheel, and that'll let us pan around, and that's pretty much the only two actions you need to move around the screen. So we have our tiled background here, and we have all these little squares which allow us to resize any way we want. And if I'm holding on this corner, any of these corner ones here, and I hold shift, it'll scale uniformly, and if I do it like this, I can scale up or down or left or right. And we have the sides here that'll allow us to scale in and out. And then we'll usually have this little widget right here, which will allow us to rotate. And any changes that we do, we can see updating right over here. So we have the angle is now at 358. And if I click this and move, you'll see it slowly starts to change to, now it's 318 or whatever. And the same thing with the position. You can see as I move it around, I could just click anywhere inside of it and drag it around. See, the position is changing, and over here the size as well. If I start scaling it, the size is changing, and the position is changing as well because we're moving this point here. See, if I'm moving it from this side, the position isn't changing because this is the origin point. So we're just going to go back to the angle here, put that to 0, and we're going to make it big enough to fit the whole screen. Done. And we can test play by hitting this up here. This little play button says Run Layout, and it'll open up whatever your default browser happens to be, and play your game. Right now it's completely black because that's all we have in our game. It's just a black background. So we'll close that out. And let's see here. Under our project, we're going to go to click the name of it up here, which will bring up our project properties. And we can see that the project settings has a window size of 640 by 480. So if we go to our layout here, our layout size is larger than what our window size is. So I'm just going to conform our layout size down to the size of our window. There we go. And now this is our whole game board. This is the whole game that we're going to be working with here. So we'll put that back there. We're going to go back to our layers tab, and I'm going to rename this layer BG for background. And I'm going to lock it because I don't want to be able to select it or move it or do anything else with this. Now we need to add a new layer to add in our paddles for our pongs. So we're going to rename this layer to, let's see, layer. And we're going to insert a new object. So our new object is going to be a sprite, and sprite is it's basically a picture, or it can be a bunch of pictures that you flip through really quickly to animate. Let's see the description: animated object that is building block of most projects. Basically, it's just a picture, and we can change the name when it comes into it. We don't want it just to be called sprite. We're going to call this player paddle. Insert, and we'll click anywhere on the board to insert it, and now we get to create whatever we want. And I'm just going to create a white box. Done. Now that we have our white box in here, we can resize that down to make a proper paddle, and we're just going to throw it over here because that's where the paddle usually is, and just change it. That looks about right. That looks like a Pong paddle to me. Now, if I hit play again, make sure this is on the right layer. We go to see, move to layer, player. Let me try saving this off first. Save as project, and I'll just save it to my desktop. Okay. Okay, it won't let me save there, so let's go to save it in my documents then. Fine, done. Alright, saved. Not letting me see my paddle. Oh, there it is. Okay, maybe I just had it way too far off over here or something to where I couldn't see it. So we'll just move this over here. And I think it's because, let me turn my background off. Oh, okay. So I couldn't see what my actual layout was because I had my background on. So my paddle was actually, even though I had my paddle over here, I'm like, oh, that looks good. But I had my background turned on, so I couldn't see that the layout ends here. So we can toggle our background off just by clicking this arrow here for now. So we'll put that there. And now we need to be able to move this paddle. So if we go into the game, we can see I got a paddle here, but if I press any arrows, it doesn't move. It looks like it's moving right now, but that's actually just me moving the browser up and down using these arrows like that. So it's not actually moving. Alright, so let's get some movement into here. We're going to go to behaviors. If I have the sprite selected, you get the name of it, what layer it's on, what angle it's at, its opacity, position, size, all that good stuff. And down here we have behaviors, and we can get add and edit. So we're going to go to behaviors, we're going to add one, and we're going to choose 8 directions, and this will allow us to move in 8 directions. So now if I go to play, if I hit up, my paddle goes up. If I hit down, it goes down. If I hit right, it goes right. Left, it goes left. If I hit up and down, or down and left at the same time, it moves in a kind of diagonally mode. So it's kind of like maybe a jet or a top-down plane view or something. But that doesn't really work for us. We just want it to be able to move up and down. So let's go back, and right here we have our max speed, our acceleration, our deceleration, our directions, our set angle, our default controls, which I think are just up and down on the keypad over here, and the initial state, whether it's enabled or disabled. So we want to change our directions. Instead of 8, we just want to be able to go up and down. So let's play again, and now I can only go up and down. And there's a couple problems here. One, it's going off the screen, and I don't want it to go off the screen. Two, it's flipping when I move. I can't go left or right though, so that's good. I'm only constraining in the up and down. But when I moved, it flipped my doohickey. So to fix this, we need to change the set angle 360 smooth to no. We don't want it to change its angle in relation to whatever button I'm pressing. Alright? And we need to add one more behavior to this. So we're going to minimize the 8 direction behavior and go to Add Edit, Behaviors, and we're just going to bound it to the layout. So now it cannot leave this box whatsoever. So if we hit play again, I can only go up and down, and as soon as I get to the top it stops, and as soon as I get to the bottom it stops. I can't go left or right. So now I can just go up and down. So I've already got my paddle going up and down. Sweet. Something just fell off my desk. So I got the paddle going up and down. Now we need to add in another paddle. So we're going to go to Insert Object, Sprite, and we'll name this Comp Paddle. Hit OK. Click in here to add it in. I've already got white selected, so I'll just fill the box. Done. And I want it to be the exact same size as this one. So I'll just go over to here and steal what the size is. It's 23 by 97. And go in here and type 23 by 97. Enter. And I want it to be at the same level of height. So in the height, I think it's, let's see, I think it's the right one. Let's see here, I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, so it's the one on the right. So let's see here, what is it, 640 by 480? What's 480 divided by 2? Let's find out. I opened the wrong program. .480 divided by 2, I get a 240, of course. Wow, I'm feeling stupid today. So it's 240, so I want to set this instead of 242. I'm going to set that to 240. So it's directly in the middle. And I'm going to set this one to 240. And I'm just going to move it over. If I hold shift and I move it, it should pretty much constrain it. As long as I don't go like a big movement, as long as I only do small, slow movements, it'll constrain it in a certain direction. So we're just going to put this over here. Done. So now we got our other paddle, and we have our player paddle, but we need a ball to smack around. So we're going to right click, insert object again. We're going to pick a sprite, and we're going to call it ball. Insert. Done. And we'll make that nice and big and white. And make it small. That looks about right. That should do. We're going to put it right in the middle. So we have our player paddle, our ball, our computer paddle. So let's play and see what we have here. Okay. Well, nothing's happening. So we need to give these things some behaviors so they know what to do. So for the ball, we're going to go to Behaviors, Add Behaviors, hit the plus key to add a new one, and we're going to go down to Bullet. And we're going to change this thing into a bullet. And if I go back here, yes, I know. If I go back here to bullet, I have it selected. It says move an object ahead at its current angle, typically used for bullets and projectiles. This is sort of a projectile that'll work great for us. So we want it to travel at 400, I think it's like 400 pixels per second. I'm not exactly, yeah, the speed in pixels per second the object travels at. So 400 pixels per second. Acceleration doesn't matter because it's just going to be going at a continuous speed the entire time. Gravity, we don't want gravity because that's just going to pull it down towards the ground here. Bounce off solids, yes. When it hits this or hits this, we want it to bounce off, so yes. And the set angle, so right now if it bounces off of this, it'll bounce off this way. If it's set angle, then it'll rotate itself to match the angle that it's traveling in. If not, then it'll hit this and then it'll just kind of go, it'll stay, it won't rotate, it'll stay the same. Otherwise, if I have it set to yes, it'll bounce off and then it'll rotate like that and fly off and then hit this and then rotate again, probably something like that, and go down this way. Whereas if it's not to set angle, it'll just go boom, boom, and it'll stay oriented like this the entire time no matter what, which is what we want. So make sure the angle is set to 0, and we're going to turn the set angle off. No. And the initial state enabled. So let's hit play. Let's see what happens. And it just flew right through my thing there. So that's not working. So the problem is this is just a piece of art right now. It doesn't know it's a solid. It doesn't know that it's supposed to have things bounce off of it. So what we need to do is go to behaviors. We're going to add a behavior and we're going to turn it into a solid. And this is used for ground, basically anything you want with collision that is just a solid piece. We can go to solids here and make the object impassable so other objects cannot move or fall through it, which is great. So let's hit play again. Now it bounces off, comes to me, and passes right through because I didn't set my paddle to be a solid either. So add another behavior to this, and we'll call this solid. And we can hit play. Now, boom, boom. It kind of goes back and forth, back and forth. And if I hit it like at an angle, it'll go off that way. Alright, so now the only problems that I'm seeing is this guy isn't following the ball, and the ball can leave the layout, which is not good. So let's fix him to get him to follow the ball and kind of try to hit it back to us. And also, we're going to do that with some coding. But coding in Construct 2 is a little different than actual coding, so it'll be a lot easier. So we're going to go to our event sheet, and we're going to go to add event. So what we want to happen is for this computer paddle to follow the ball. So we'll go to computer paddle. Let's see here. We're going to compare the Y, because we only want this thing to move up and Y and down, to, let's see, what did I call it? Ball. The ball dot Y, and if it is less than, done. So let me bring this out. What this is saying is if the computer paddle's Y, its Y position, is less than the ball's Y position, then we want it to do something. And we'll Control C, Control V, go to add event comp paddle, compare Y again, is greater than ball.y, done. And if it's, so we have one for if the computer paddle's Y position is less than the ball's Y position, we want it to do something. And if the computer paddle's position, Y position, is greater than the ball's Y position, we want it to do something. The problem is we need to give it a behavior to be able to move. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to behaviors, and we're going to add that 8 direction behavior onto it, or else we wouldn't be able to move. I mean, we would be able to move it around, but it's easier to do it through the 8 direction thing that's already built in instead of trying to make up our own movement scheme. So we're going to add a 8 direction onto it, and default controls will be set to no. Because if the default controls are set to yes, then not only will we be controlling this paddle, but we'll also be controlling this one as well. So back to the events. Now we want to say comp paddle's Y position is less than ball Y position, add action, comp paddle, under the 8 direction menu, we're going to choose Simulate Control, pressing up. And the same for this, Comp Paddle, Simulate Control, but pressing down. Done. So if we hit play, whoops, I forgot to change it so he doesn't spin around. Okay, let's see here. Set angle. No, we don't want it to set the angle. So I think I got him mixed up. It should be vice versa. Instead of pressing down, he should be going up. Done. Instead of pressing up, he should be going down. Done. There we go. So now he's kind of jittering back and forth like, oh, alright, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? And if I knock it off its course, he's going to start going for it. But he's going way off course over here, because he's actually following that ball's Y no matter where it goes. So we need to make it so the ball can't leave this area. So to do that, we're going to box it in. We could use the bound to layout here, where if we select the ball, go to behaviors, and go to bound to layout, add. Alright. Oops. Oh, I got it stuck. Let's try it again. And I'll just knock it off track there. See, that's the problem with the bound to layout. I found that it doesn't exactly make it bounce as we want it to, because it's not creating a fake solid around it. It's just saying it's bound to the layout, and this is supposed to be bouncing off a solid, so it's not really a solid. So what we need to do is put solids here and here so it can bounce. So we're going to insert a new object. We'll call it a sprite, and we'll call it ceiling. Click anywhere inside the layout, and it doesn't really matter what color we make this, so we're not going to be able to see it anyways. We just want it to kind of stand out on our layout here so we can see it now. And we're just going to put it at the top. And if I hold control, I can click and hold, and it'll create a duplicate for me. So if you hold control, click and hold and drag, it'll just create a duplicate. So now we have 2 ceilings, and we can change the behaviors, make it a solid. Done. And since I've duplicated it off the other one, they're kind of like instances of each other, so whatever I put onto this is going to automatically go onto this, and vice versa. So now we see it, and if I knock it off track, phew, now it's bouncing off the walls. And that would have scored for me, but it got stuck. Alright, cool. So the problem is that we can see these things, and we don't want to be able to see them. So what we're going to do is going to go to initial, we're going to select the ceiling sprite. So we have it open up its properties, go down to properties, initial visibility. Right now it's visible, we want it to be invisible. So we'll set those to invisible. Another way you can do it, I think, is just changing the opacity down to 0. But that'll make it invisible inside the layout, and we don't want it invisible inside the layout. We want to be able to see it inside here. We just don't want to be able to see it in the game. So now, whoops, he looks so eager. He's bouncing back and forth. It's like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? I got the ball. Hit it with the edge. It'll go bouncing, and done. And now it's stuck back there. All right, great. So he hits the ball back to me, I hit the ball back to him, and bounces off the walls. What's left is we need to add some goals over to here to catch the ball, and let us know if we've scored. So we're going to create some new sprites, and this first one's going to be a play goal, short for player goal. Insert over here, and we'll make it blue. Why not? Again, this is going to be invisible, so it doesn't really matter. And we're just going to set it. We don't want to set it directly like on top of this thing, because if you score, you want them to know that, yeah, they definitely scored. So we're going to put it a bit ways behind the actual paddle, so no matter what, they can't say like, oh, it didn't go behind me, that's BS. No, this thing definitely went behind you and they scored on you, so deal with it. And now we need to add a new sprite called comp goal, and we'll make this one, we'll keep it the same color, and put it over here. And we're going to we don't want these to be seen either, so we're going to change the visibilities to invisible. So now we have to set up an event, or multiple events actually, to say like if this ball hits one of these, we have to know which ones it's hitting. And first off, we want to destroy the ball. We don't want the ball to just sit there. So let's start with that. So we'll go to our event sheet, add event. We're going to choose our computer goal. Doesn't matter, we can do the play goal or either one. Computer goal, next. Or actually, let's do the ball. Ball, next. On collision with another object, choose the object it's going to collide with. We'll say the computer goal. Done. And then we'll do it again. Add event. Ball. On collision with another object. And we'll choose the player goal. Done. So this is what's springing off the event. The actions that we want to do. This is the event. This is the action. So when the ball collides with the computer goal, we want to add an action, and the action will be the ball gets destroyed. Done. So ball gets destroyed, and we'll do the same for the other one. But we also want to add points to a score that we're going to be keeping later. So to do that, we're going to have to right click somewhere in this abyss over here, and we'll go to add global variable, and the first one will be called player score, and the number initial value will be set to 0 because the score will be initially 0 for each. Add global variable, and this will be computer score. I'll just put comp score, and initial value is 0. And you can see up here now I have two global variables that I can access at any time. So when the ball hits the computer goal, that means the player scored. So I can go to add action, system, and under global and local variables I can add to them, subtract from them, set values. I want to add every time they score. So I'm going to add 1 to the player score. Value I'm adding is 1. The variable I'm adding it to is player score. Done. And we're going to do the exact same thing with this. Add action, system, global and local variables, add 2. Instead of player score though, we're going to use computer score. Done. So when the ball hits the player goal, then add 1 to the computer score. When the ball hits the computer's goal, then add 1 to the player score. And we're destroying the ball. So let's hit play. Boom, boom, knock it back and forth. And once one of us hits a goal, no, get down, dang it. Alright, so it destroyed it, and it gave him a point, but we can't see it right now because I have nothing displaying what this actual score is. But the problem is once he scored, the ball got destroyed, but another ball didn't come in to take its place, so the game's over. So we want to add something that can respawn these balls. Respawn the balls whenever we score or when a new game starts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ball, I'm going to set it off to the side out there, and on the event sheet, actually I need to add a new object. It's going to be a sprite. We're going to call this spawn, and this is what we're going to spawn all our balls from. And we'll make it yeller. Why not? And it doesn't matter the size or anything. I'm just going to scale it down just so it doesn't look super intrusive. And so now we have our spawn. So let's see here. On collision with the player goal, after it's destroyed the ball and the system is out of the score, let's go to add action, spawn, and we're going to go down to miscellaneous. We're going to go to spawn another object, and the object that we want to spawn is the ball, and where we want to spawn it is instead of where it says layer, you wouldn't write player or whatever you renamed it to. You would write over here, you have the BG layer is 0, the player layer is 1, so we're going to change this to layer 1 because we want this spawn on the player layer. And we can Control C, Control V up here, because we want to add it to that one. And now, every time we score, the ball will respawn. Whoops. Ah. This thing just kind of shoots it out. Alright, so we have our never-ending spawn of balls that we can use, but we don't want to see that big yellow thing in the middle of it, so we're just going to go to, let's see, visible. We're going to set the to invisible. And now it's starting off up there instead of starting where we want it to, because since I moved it off the screen. So what we want is for it to start here. So what we're going to do is go to Add Event, System, and we're going to go all the way down to Start and End, and on Start of Layout. So whenever this layout is loaded up, we want it to, the ball, we want to destroy right off the bat. Alright? Because when layout starts, it's going to have this ball up here, and we don't want that. So we're just going to destroy that ball right off the bat. And then we're going to respawn it where we want it, which will be at the spawn point. And we're going to spawn the ball. And onto layer 1. Done. So on the start of the layout, we want to destroy that ball and spawn our own over here. So hit play. Now it doesn't have that ball at the top anymore, and it spawns right off here. Now there's a problem. You can see it keeps spawning in the same direction every time. It just keeps shooting it over to him. But we don't want that. We want it to just be random, whichever side it starts on. We don't want it always going to him. So we're going to go to Add Action, System. I'm sorry. We're going to Add Action Ball. And under its bullet properties, we're going to set the angle of motion to, and this is a small expression right here that actually comes in handy. We're going to set it to random, parentheses, 360, and parentheses. So what this does is it chooses a random number between 0 and 360, and it puts that number in there. So the bullet, set the bullet angle of motion to a random number between 0 and 360 degrees, and then the bullet will take off in that direction. But we want to, I think we want to do it after it spawned. Let's find out. I can't remember if it's supposed to be after it spawned or before it spawned. I think it's supposed to be before it spawned. And we actually want to do that for all of them too as well. So Control C, Control V, Control V. So that way when it respawns each time, whether you get a goal or he gets a goal, or whether it's a start of layout, that it's always going to be starting at a random angle of motion. Let's see here. If I can get it to go. Alright, still always going to him. So there's a little bug in there, which I think has something to do with this whole set angle. So let's just say yes to that real quick and see if that's the issue. No, that's not the issue. Alright. Event sheet. Okay, so let's see. Let's our layout. Ball, set that. Set the angle of motion to a random degree, and then spawn the ball. Let's try doing it after the spawn. And see how that works out. There we go. Whee, look at it go. And now you can see what I mean by when that set angle of motion is turned on. You can see how it, oh god, he's scoring on me like crazy right now. You can see how it kind of turns to face whatever way it wants to go, instead of you know, just being the same thing every single time. So let me see if I can turn set angle off and still have it do a random thing. Yeah, okay, there we go. See, I like it like that. It seemed more old school, I guess, to me. Instead of having to turn to face the motion, that seemed a little too complex, I think, for old school Atari days. I can't get there in time. The ball's moving so fast. Okay, so now that we have all the basic mechanics of the game played down, we need to add some kind of scoring system. We're having the score is being kept right here, and if I actually go into debug layout, we can see as if I move my guy down here. Let's see, there should be, okay, so down here, I don't know if you will be able to see it. Okay, I can zoom in, cool. Where is it? Okay, so you can see the global variables down here. So my computer score is 3 and my score is 4 right now. And as I play, he just got a score. You'll see those scores change down here. Those are my variables. It's adding 1 to them every single time. And he's tracing the ball, and I'm doing terrible right now. I was messing around. Would probably be doing terrible if it wasn't. Alright. So now we have our Pong game going, but we need to somehow take this score. We need to take the score and we need to put it up on the screen so our guys can see what's going on and who's winning and who's losing. So to do that, we're going to go back into our layout. We're going to insert a new object, and this time it's going to be a text object. And we can put it up there. And let's see, the text in here, we can change its properties. We can change the font. Now I will say at the bat, some fonts don't work. Usually, I mean, most of the basic fonts that come with your computer should work. But some of these, like if you have like downloaded fonts, they might not always work. They might not always show up. So you never know. So for this, I'm just going to stick with standard Arial. Where is it at? I was literally just on it. There it is. Just going to go with Arial, and we'll go with black, and we'll make it big, 26 point. Oh, see, okay, so it doesn't take that font variation. I can do bold, I know that, but I guess it doesn't take black. And if it doesn't take it, you'll get that little pop-up there. So, and then for the initial text, it's just going to say 0. Right? And then for the color, if we hit this little down arrow here, we can choose white because that's the color we want. Hey, and there's our 0 right there. You don't want to like make it just big enough to fit, because if you do, when it gets to, you see how when it gets too small, it just completely disappears. When it gets to, let's say if we get to 10 points, the number gets bigger, and then it won't fit in this box anymore, and it'll just disappear. So we want to make it big enough to handle not only the number that's there now, but the number that will be there later. So we have that, and we can go down here to objects and rename this text to, let's see, play scoreboard, score B, play score B. And we'll add a new object, and this will be comp score B text, and change it to 0. Nope, that's O, not 0. Arial 26 font, bold, and let's make it white so we can see it on that black background. Done. And make it big enough so we can see it. And let's get our positions and stuff from this one. So this one's at, let's see here, 213.48. Let's make that 213 and 48. And this one will be at 213 and 48, which actually, let's make this 250 so it's offset, so it's not right on top of each other. Alright, and whoops, just duplicated it. Hold shift and drag it over just a little bit. Insert a new object. Be a white one. And this will be like the little hyphen that's supposed to be in between them. And we'll call this, rename it to hyphen. The name of this thing really doesn't matter because we're not going to access it in the event sheet at all. Really, the naming convention only matters if you're going to have to access it through an event. But having a bunch of stuff called Sprite 1, Sprite 2, Sprite 3, Sprite 4 can get confusing, so it's best to name them. Let's see here. Alright. Good. That looks like a good hyphen-y thingy to me. And we'll select all 3 of these by holding control. If I select this one and I hold control and then select this one and hold control, select that one, I can select the whole group at a time. And let's just move it to somewhere where it's like kind of like in the middle of the screen here. Done. Now we just have to make an event that says to change this number to whatever the score is, which is easy. So we're going to go to Event, and we're going to go to System, and every tick. So this runs basically always. It just keeps updating throughout the entire game. So every tick, done. We're going to go to Add Action. We want to set the player scoreboard text. We're going to go to Set Text down here, and we want to set it to whatever the value of the variable is, which is player score. So we're just going to type in player score, and you can see it down here as I type this little earth that says player score. Double click it, done. So every tick, every second, and more than every second, every millisecond or whatever, it's going to change this right here to match whatever the value of the player score is. And we want to do the same thing for the computer score as well. So we're going to down here at text, set text, but this one's going to be, what is it, comp score? Comp score, done. And if I hit play, we have our scoreboard up there. And let me score on this full. Let me school them. Come on, let me school them. Boom, you just got schooled. Oh god, now I just got schooled. So now we're keeping track of our score here. Super fun, yeah? Uh-oh, that's going to take forever to get to me, so. So now we have our scoreboard, we have our paddles, we have our AI for our paddle, which is basically just following the ball back and forth. So right now it's traveling pretty fast. So let's drop this down to, like, I think back in like Atari days, if you're actually playing it, it'd probably be moving at like this speed. Boom. It'd be moving pretty damn slow. Yeah, so what we can do is actually start it off at this speed, and then we can make an event that says every collision, maybe add some kind of value, maybe add something to the speed, so it speeds up every time it collides with one of our paddles. And also, it's going to be going, it goes through our scoreboard right now, because our solid is above the scoreboard. So if we bring our solid down, actually let's bring our scoreboard up. Like that, drag those up. Let's bring this down. Like so. Now it won't go up into our scoreboard. And let's see here. We're going to add an event. So add event ball on collision with another object, and we'll choose one of the paddles, comp paddle, that's fine. Add action ball. Okay, here we go. I know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do another ball on collision with another object, player paddle. So basically what I want to accomplish here is we're going to up the speed every time it hits the ball, so it gets a little bit more and more difficult. So what we'll do is we're going to add another global variable, and this one will be called speed. And to start it off, we're going to start slow. We're going to start it off with an initial value of 200. Done. And it starts off with 200, so we're fine. And then every time we have a collision with the paddles, we're going to system, add 2, we'll add, I don't know, 25 to the speed. Done. And we'll do that over here as well. Speed 25. Done. Alright, so we're adding 25 to this variable up here, so it gets larger and larger and larger every time. But now we need to tell the bullet to change its speed. So we'll go to ball, set, let's see, set speed, and the speed that we want to set it to is the variable speed. Speed is set to speed. Sounds right, right? So every time it hits one of these paddles, it's going to add 25 to our variable speed, and then the bullet is now going to use this variable as its speed. Alright? and then every time it gets destroyed or whatever, it'll get respawned with its original, whatever the original speed was. So, should get a little faster. Let me hit it. Alright, should get a little faster. I can tell it's getting a little faster. Oh, getting a little bit faster now. Oh, now it's picking up some real speed. Oh, come on. Alright, and then back down to being slow again. And, oh, maybe it didn't go back down to being slow again. Come on. Okay. See, the issue is, it did go back down to being slow. But once I hit it, I never reset the variable after it gets destroyed. So it just adds on. If I go to my debug mode real quick, we'll see what I'm talking about here. So, let's see, where's my variable speed? Which should be down here. Right now, the speed is at 225. And if I hit it, now it's at 250. So it's picking up speed. And now it's at 275. And now it's at 300. Alright, so now it's dead. But the speed is still at 300, so it never got reset. So as soon as he hits it, it's going to tack on another 25, so it'll be set to 325. And then all of a sudden, the bullet's going to take on that speed. So it's not going to, we're going to have to reset it whenever the ball gets destroyed. That's basically what I'm saying. So we're going to add action, system, reset that global variable, set value of the speed, and we'll set it back down to 200. So that way, every time the ball gets destroyed, and actually I could probably just do it instead of doing it on every time it gets destroyed, just to keep the code a little bit better. On every time, no, I'm gonna have to do it that way. Okay, yeah. So, and I think that's pretty much all the code that we need for this game. So, let's see here. Yep, got our little ball. I can hit it. Speed increases slowly as we keep playing and playing and playing. It doesn't go past our little scoreboard up there. We do keep score. There really is no end game for this. We can go on until, you know, the cows come home. But the whole point of us adding speed to it is to make sure that it doesn't go on forever. That it'll come a point where neither of us, because we can only move so quickly. So there will come a point to where we just won't even be able to catch the ball, and someone's going to score sooner or later. So that's how you make Pong. And I think for the next one, we're going to look at how to do asteroids. Damn it, I messed it again. We're going to look at how to do asteroids, which is kind of like a fighter jet game from the old school era. And with that one, we're going to be looking at also how to work with Photoshop, how to make our own sprites instead of using these sprites that are already there. We're going to look at how to make our own sprites. If you want, make a Pong game and make a video and show me what you got. I would like to see everyone's different Pong games that they can make. A cool thing you can do actually is, let's see here, on the bullet we can add effects to it. So under effects we can add, let's see here, we can change the color, we can do color effects, distortion effects, normal mapping effects. We can make it pulse. Let's see, an animated warping pulse effect. Let's see what that does. I don't know. Maybe it'll make it look cool as it moves around. Oh man, that does look kind of cool when it moves around. That's weird. Our ball is going crazy, man. Alright, maybe not pulse. Do a luminosity thing. See what that does. Well, it's black in the background, so I don't think it'll add anything to it. Yeah, but show me what you got. I'd like to see your different Pong games. Like I said, the next episode will be tackling asteroids, and then from there, which will kind of introduce us into Photoshop a little bit and creating our own content to use inside of Construct 2 instead of just using these boxes. And then I think for the third episode, we'll do like a Mega Man type game. It'll be a side-scrolling shooter, which would be fun. So, thanks for watching. I'm Nick Stalker with Demonic Procedures. Just remember, the demon's inside.